Hey Matt, how you doing?
Good, Ty. How are you?
Good. So, how are your holidays?
Busy. I'm glad they're over. It's kind of nice to know what day of the week it is. But happy to be here talking to you in 2026.
So, this is our first podcast since Christmas,
Yes,
and we got a house calls Christmas gift.
I did not know this.
So, this is from the Dancies, and they told me to open it on the podcast.
Oh my God! All right,
Okay.
if it's a speed bump, I'm going to lose it. But okay.
So here we go.
Or if it's a
If-
raccoon.
So, people who don't know the Dancies, listen to Jeremiah Dancy's podcast. So, there's two T-shirts. Let's see what the first one is.
Rocky. I wonder. I think that's for you. Very
That's
nice.
for me.
I'm a.
What, you don't think Rocky's for you?
It could be. It could be.
I'm definitely wearing that in the next podcast. Oh, I think you got the same thing. We're gonna be twinsies.
Twinsies. Rocky twinsies.
So I think I do you want to donate one of these to Ryan or Roddy, or
No, no.
will you wear yours?
Yeah.
Will you wear it to hot yoga?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I send a message, to my fellow yogis that I'm not messing
So
around anymore.
my opening statement, and in here I'm gonna work an apology to you, but instead of just saying I'm sorry, it's gonna be very long winded. Okay, and
Okay.
so there's a book called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, I think his name is. And the four agreements are something you make with yourself. Tom Brady's a huge fan of this book.
Okay.
And one of the agreements is your word should be impeccable.
Okay.
Okay. The other ones are always do your best, which makes sense,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Don't take anything personally. So,
Okay.
like when you start falling asleep when I go through my sermons, I don't take it personally. I'm like,
Good.
oh, he just had a hard work day, you know?
Sure.
Uh, so it's don't take anything personally.
Okay.
Do your best. Don't assume. I think we could do a whole podcast on the don't assume because I
Oh,
think sometimes when you assume things work out for you.
so 100%. I love assuming.
But your word should always be impeccable. I need
Yep.
to apologize because I get lied to you on the podcast,
What?
bold-faced lie, have not fact checked, and it's literally been a month. Okay. So if you remember the episode right after Thanksgiving, we were talking about my family Thanksgiving football game.
Yes. Yep. And your stats and
And
everything. Yep.
you asked a certain question, and at the time, my cousin was 38 weeks pregnant. I had designed a whole offense where she could play like Philip Rivers, a
Yep.
lot of quick passes, that
Yep.
kind of stuff, was not gonna have to scramble. She was a no-show. She was held back due to 38 weeks of pregnancy. Her mom played quarterback, which totally changed the offense because the mobility levels were different.
Yeah.
But you said, "Was anybody pregnant in the football game?" And
That's right.
I
It did.
said, "I lied." We
Whoa.
did have a pregnant player.
Where's it you?
No, no,
Okay.
no.
All
We
right.
can talk biology at our next
All right. All
podcast.
right.
But my daughter, Emma House Cook, Kimberly Emma Cook, whatever her name is now, she was 10 weeks pregnant or something about that amount.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
this is why this matters is we've had a lot of experience guests on, and we've learned a lot from our guests, and I think we're trying to gain some wisdom maybe talking to these guests. And if I'm going to be a wise grandfather, like we got to get this done like by
Right.
July 15th. I need to have some wisdom, so we need to line up the guests and get going.
Wow. Well, we've had a couple grandparents on already,
Uh-huh.
and
Yeah.
they didn't really. Well, let's see. Stacy wasn't a grandmother at the time.
Yeah.
Peter, yeah, he's good for other stuff. See, we've had Brian Wood, we've had Rick Hook. I mean, we've had a bunch of grandparents on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have some resources. Any chance we can get some naming rights?
Oh. I think they have names, which I'm gonna leave those. I don't wanna tell everybody the names, but I think they're set on that. And you know what's cool is
Oh,
they're not gonna find out. They're not finding out what it is.
oh, I love that. I
Yeah.
highly recommend that. No, that's exciting. I'm more excited because I've already known this. Actually, I found out around Halloween. But anyhow, I was before you because well, because there is rumor in your family that you would forget to tell me. There is
Yes.
that which has been known to happen, major life events. But, that's exciting, and, you're gonna be a basket case on the 4th of July. I
Yes.
gotta start preparing for that. That's gonna be not a good time.
And what do you think about having a 4th of July baby race where, like,
Oh
each baby under a year, you put them in the center
oh,
of,
yeah,
like, where the golf cup is, and whoever gets to the edge first wins?
100%. If we're not
It'll be
doing
I
turtles,
mean, this baby won't be ready for it. Nevi's baby will be crawling by then, I think. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
surprise
Oh, easily crawling by that baby will be walking by then.
oh,
No,
wait,
not
yeah.
quite walking.
My god, and so you're a pediatrician?
Well, the baby was
From
born in November, so by then we'll be
or
about
December or December.
7.5 months.
Yeah,
So
you
we'll
know,
definitely be crawling.
if that baby's anything
Oh,
like
no,
its
no,
mother,
Nevi walked we're gonna edit this out, but Nevi walked at 10 months. So who knows? This baby
why do
could be
you know
crawling.
that? And that baby's gonna have braces on if it's anything like its mother.
Yes. Okay, so our next thing was we got some compliments last time when I did the segment on Think Like a Surgeon.
Yeah, from
Katie
other
Yang,
surgeons?
when I was talking about percentages and you can't worry
Yeah,
about things that are the 0.001%, and Katie Yang said that that is a very common technique they use in psychology. And we interviewed her last year, and she said they'd kind of use the 5% rule. Like, is there a less than 5% chance this is going to work? She actually sent me the psychology textbook, which I have not completed the whole thing. I just read that little blurb. So I have another Think Like a Surgeon.
okay,
So in surgery, especially in surgery training, it is very frequent to say the enemy of good is better.
alright,
And the reason in that is because in orthopedics, you're sometimes working on bone. So you can imagine if the bone is like broken in multiple pieces and maybe the person's older, so their bone's not very strong, you do worry about like, can the screws and the hardware hold the bone together?
yep,
And if you put it together and it's pretty good, and then you're like, I can get a little bit better, and you take it apart, it can fall apart. So it's
sure,
something to always keep in your mind. The enemy of good
okay,
is better. Get it fixed and let the body do the rest of the way. Now other people would use that as laziness and be like, oh, this is good enough. And you're like, no, it's not good enough. Make it good. But
right,
there is a standard of care, what's acceptable. And then beyond that, you got to start saying the enemy of good is better. And I think that can apply to a lot of different things in life. So we talk to a lot of people who are kind of high achievers. And sometimes people are like, what's your next exercise thing? What's
yep,
your next thing you're into? What's your next thing that you're going to put yourself out there? And I do think that we should always start with the enemy of good is better. Like you can drive yourself crazy always trying to improve yourself.
yes, yeah,
So you right now are, and this is to everybody out there right now is good enough. Okay. Like you're fine. You're fine just the way you are. Love yourself the way you are, but don't be a little bitch.
wow, alright,
Keep
uh,
working. And another example, and I will
so
tell you,
I know you who you've been hanging out with recently, okay, alright, got it.
can I give a public policy
Do
example?
do I have any choice in this?
You do not.
I didn't think so,
So,
okay.
so I'm not getting directly into politics because I know you're worried about us getting canceled.
Yeah, oh, yeah, the way
But
loudly.
in public policy, have you ever heard of the Mississippi Miracle?
Is that when is that when, Emma met Matt?
No,
'Cause we didn't
that
think that
would
was
be
gonna
good though.
happen. That oh,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Alright.
Is that the Mississippi Miracle? Is that for
That's
Emma or for Matt though?
that was for Emma.
Okay. So, the Mississippi Miracle, you should know this because Emma and your niece Ellie both did their teacher training in Mississippi.
Okay.
And Mississippi literally went from like above below 45 in education reading ability of
Yep.
like middle schoolers all the way up to 7 in a very short amount of time without spending any extra money.
Okay.
And the way they did that was they concentrated purely on readings. That meant they had reading specialists, the teachers concentrated on reading and writing, teacher seminars were all on reading and writing. You were held back in the 3rd grade if you weren't passing, if you weren't getting to the level. And basically, it's like in education, the enemy of good is better. We added in all these things in education in the last 30 to 50 years, we forgot the basics of nail down the basics. Don't move on and try to be like, oh, we're going to do this, 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 this. The enemy of good is better. Stay with what you're doing. It's good enough. So with little kids, it's like teach them reading and math and then move on to the other stuff.
Oh, sorry. No, I think that makes complete sense.
So that's my thought on the enemy of good is better. Can we move on to our end of the year wrap up?
Oh, yes. Yes, please. Please.
Okay.
Holy cow. Holy cow. All right. I mean, you know what I love about your little agendas is that they have no segues, they have no rhyme nor reason. It's just a stream of consciousness. That's just, but you know what?
Well,
It has nothing to do with the podcast because this is where you are every day, all day.
I think I honestly think that, though, I don't want to give the wrong message that, like, you have to do an Ironman, learn a language, you know, build a nuclear reactor out of my technology, my speaker, my computer, and like, and you know, build a car that runs on water.
Okay. But
I don't want people to think that.
well, they don't, right? They know us, I hope. They
Okay.
know that you and I both got individually got Lego sets for Christmas, and you know that's the level of us working with our hands outside of your job. But yeah, they
Can we
understand.
say what your Lego set was?
Say it. I can show it.
Okay. What was it? You've already
Statue.
completed yours?
Yeah, Statue of Liberty.
Oh my gosh.
1,600 pieces.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there she is.
Oh,
There
that's
she.
great.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's
Did
magic.
you have trouble with your carpal tunnel, or is that all fixed?
It was. Thank goodness I went to a doctor and he fixed it.
Okay.
If that was the only thing that could have been a setback.
Did he tell you while he was doing it, the enemy of good is better?
He said he did. He said, "When you get these Legos," and he said, "This is gonna be just remember that." He actually
Okay.
it was really he tattooed it on my wrist. It was really weird.
I think he said he was gonna do it right-handed.
He did, and thank God he is right-handed. So
So my Legos were a Batmobile.
yes, and have
I
you?
have not started mine yet because I was worried that if I set them up on the table, this is the truth, I was worried Brian would start fiddling with it, so I didn't want to start until he was gone.
Yep, yep. I told the girls, "Don't touch this. You know,
Yeah.
stay away." So, yep.
Okay, so
Let's
let's
talk about
talk
let's talk about the year of
the
2020.
year. Yes.
The first season of House Calls, the podcast.
Yes.
And I think this is also a good time to announce that we've come to agreements, we've come to terms, and we are signed on for season 2.
Yes. Yeah. We still have some work to do with our sponsors, but we're confident that we'll be able to have season 2.
Yep, yep, yep.
Mhm.
That's all we can say about that at this point,
Okay.
about the sponsor.
So to start off season 2, I've had some people asking about what our challenge is going to be,
Yep.
and it's hard to come up with a challenge, but I just want to know what people's winter workouts are.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this as 2 parts. I want to see the person who is training for whatever the winter event is. I want to see the person who's working outside, the person who hates being outside, so they're doing it inside. And I want to see where you are doing your workout in warm weather. So if you are on vacation and you're working out, do not feel like you're bragging that you're on vacation. That we want to see that also.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get out there. As long as you're doing something somewhere, we wanna see it.
So we want Franco to send a video every day of what he's doing.
Not every day. I mean, it's Franco. I'm sure he will. But, yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay. So for this, for the year in review,
Yeah.
can we go over the awards?
Let's do it. Let's do
Okay.
it. All right.
What was the most embarrassing moment of the podcast?
The most embarrassing well, probably you choking on some water at some point. You choked about 8 times.
The most embarrassing one. So 2 embarrassing moments. The one was when we were interviewing Tessa Collins, and I couldn't literally get anything on my
Ugh.
computer to work, and she was literally like texting the instructions and trying to walk me through it because you were so frustrated with me. You were like done.
It was embarrassing. She was so
But
nice
my
about
most
it.
embarrassing moment was definitely when Tom Ripley, right when he got a little bit sentimental with his dad, and I took a sip of water and started choking. He was like, "What are you doing?"
And then he kept coughing. He's like, "Are you done now?"
Yeah.
That was bad. That was
Okay.
embarrassing. That was embarrassing for all of us, actually. Yeah, I felt there's nothing I could do. I just had to sit back and watch.
Now, what was your biggest surprise?
Well, yeah, I don't have one big surprise. I keep finding that we've known everybody for, 25, 30, 40 years. But I'm
Uh-huh.
surprised that every time we talk to him, we learned something else, or I learned something else that I should
Oh, yeah.
know or that I didn't know. So, so it's those kinds of things, right? That that you take people for granted, and then all of a sudden you have a deeper conversation with them, and you're like, oh, okay, now that it makes sense.
And it's
Like
funny because
learning,
when are you gonna have an hour-long conversation
right?
with somebody? Because usually it's like you're talking for 5 minutes, and then
Yeah,
I come up and interrupt your conversation to tell you a story
and
about
your
Burt
story.
Jones or Batman.
I was not surprised that your wealth of knowledge of 80s football and 70s football and Baltimore private school sports, that did not surprise me at all. It did surprise me that Maya Dancy did try out for Chippendales. I was surprised by that, but besides that, not much else.
I think you edited out that. I was
Oh,
super surprised. Little Sisters, the podcast, your daughter Molly, my daughter Mary Kate. We were all excited to talk to them about social media, and they were like, "Yeah, it's not a problem."
yeah, they're like, we got it, we got this. We're like, no, what about this one? Like, it's not a problem. What a problem.
Yeah.
But so you know what? You may not have yet. You'll get it. Grandfather wisdom, but they got MK as an aunt and Roddy and Brian as an uncle. There's a lot
Yeah.
of street smarts. Let's just leave it at street smarts.
Yes, and emotional intelligence.
Oh, there's gonna be emotions from this kid.
Yeah.
I
So the
don't know about
funny thing is,
intelligence.
Mary Kate, literally was saying that this is her last Christmas as the baby of the family, and we're like, "You're
Right.
not even the baby of the family." Like, she literally has been like, she's taken middle child syndrome and totally denied it. She's like, "I'm the little sister." I'm like, "Dude, you're literally, like, 31 months older than Robbie," but she just denies. She's like, "No, he's the big brother." She's got 2 big brothers, a big sister.
Wow.
Alright, so what was your most inspirational moment? This one's gonna be hard.
I've been thinking about that one, and I get inspired by my friend Allison Woodward. Everything that she's done, even though I see her all the time, just hearing her talk about triathlons and different things and how that's mentally rewarding, and physically challenged. Hearing Kevin Colleton, talking about the different passions that he's uncovered. I'm not at that level, but those things kind of inspired me. People doing hard things.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. How about you?
I got chills when Ripley started talking about finding your superpower.
Yep. Okay.
I love the Brian Martin story about his first interview,
Yep.
and that when the guy was like, "Read this book and call me sometime," and he literally like, went back the next day, and the
He
guy
drove to
the guy was like, "What
Boston,
are you doing here?" You know?
borrowed Catherine's car and drove to Boston.
Yeah, I love those stories. So, what's the one that got away?
You mean
I
the
Being
story or
someone we invited, and
oh,
they said, "Thanks, but no thanks," because I have one, and
uh,
it's the brother of the pickleball pioneer, so it's Brian Klepper's brother, Devin Klepper.
uncle
He
of Will?
has Yeah, uncle of Will, who was also on the podcast, brother-in-law of
Brother-in-law.
Jen, who was on the podcast, cousin of Captain Brett O'Donovan. I mean, the list is endless, but he has been living out in Beaver Creek, which is next to Vail, for 30 years and has done so many cool jobs with ski patrol, all that kind of stuff. And I am big into, like, if you're gonna go, like, do a different kind of lifestyle like that, you should be all in. And
Yep.
he was all in, and I was so excited to walk him through that. And because he works for Vail Associates, he can't do the interviews and without all these steps. And at least that's what he told us. I think he just didn't want to talk to us.
Anymore, he's like, "Come on, 4 days is enough of you too." Surprised about who knows? We'll try again in a couple weeks, see if we can lock him down.
Okay. What surprised you? What was easier about podcasting than you thought it was going to be?
I gotta be honest, I didn't think much about it, and I find it very easy. The technology part is hard, but it's just because I feel like I'm just talking to you, right? It's just you and
Uh-huh.
I just talking to somebody. I think the hard part is getting out of the way, asking a question and let them answer and let wherever it goes. Because I think for me,
Oh,
the
that's hard for you?
anyhow, but I think for me, and maybe you, I go into these things a lot thinking we're going to be getting into all this stuff, and it goes to a totally different way, which is better and more natural, but it has nothing to do with what I thought. I had a preconceived notion, and it never goes that way, and it turns out better. How about you? I mean, besides the technology
Uh,
for you?
The ones where it's just you and me like this,
Yep.
sometimes, I don't write it down. I write some notes down, and then I'll think about it, like, when I'm walking the dogs or something, and, sometimes I'm like, "Oh my god, I forgot to say that," or "That didn't come out the right way," and so when I watch other people who, like, do YouTube and they have these, like, 30-minute or 40 minutes and they're just like, "Go," I'm like, "That is an impressive skill," when they can just talk into the camera without somebody else there,
Yes.
and they can just go, I'm like, "That's amazing."
Yeah. Oh, totally. But don't you think they're like editing it a couple takes?
Yeah, and I think they probably have a teleprompter and
Yeah.
things like that, but
But no, either way,
it's
it's
still
not
pretty
easy. Yeah.
impressive.
You got to
Yeah.
bounce it off somebody. That's totally impressive. I agree. But our podcast is probably better than theirs anyway. So,
So now we're gonna do a little game where I'm gonna tell you the episode,
okay.
and then you're gonna say the first thing that comes to your
All
mind
right.
about that episode.
All right.
The like, kinda like your favorite moment. If
Okay.
you were trying to sell the episode to be
Yep.
like, "Hey, you should listen to this one," and I'm gonna start with one that hasn't been released yet as a little bit of a
Teaser.
trailer to get
All right.
people to watch it.
Okay.
Assuming that the editing works and everything went fine, if I say episode what'll be episode 58 with Delmar Ritchie in the Ritchie Sports Bar, what was your favorite part of that?
That he's never done cocaine.
That was funny. That was funny. He hasn't done cocaine. I would say the one lesson was if so you're gonna watch, when people listen to it, this
Yeah.
guy he's
Uh,
90 years old, still super alert. He has been to so many sporting events, like not just Navy football, Orioles, Ravens, Super Bowls, a ton of Masters, US Opens. He's been everywhere.
swamp
Uh,
buggy races. I mean, cricket matches, rugby matches, you name it.
And I think what Ravens fans can learn is it's about the experience, it's about the people you're with. It's not about whether they made the field goal or they didn't
Right.
make the field goal, or
No,
whether the
agreed.
call was right or the call was wrong. He just loves the experience. He loves the thrill of sports,
Yep.
which
Totally.
is
It's
why he
so
got into he's never done cocaine. He was basically saying he's addicted to sports.
yes.
So when that comes out, you need to give that a listen.
Yep. Yeah, no,
Okay,
it's totally worth it, and if you can watch on YouTube, because I think we have some great video of the Ritchie Sports Bar and all of his memorabilia.
good. And then this one might come out after that. This one might come out before that. So we'll let you know. Um, Number 56, Lawrence Taylor's number was Phil McIntyre. What's your takeaway from that one?
Phil Mack, passionate.
Okay.
That he gets into something, as we know, he's creative and he also has a business mind. So it's cool to see the passion of those two coming together in his latest venture, Squirrel Box. How about you?
So I love the idea when he just said with Squirrelbox, you either get it or you don't get it, and don't have to evangelize to the people who don't get it.
Yep.
And I think that's like with anything creative. So like our podcast, there's plenty of people out there are like, what are those two losers yapping about once a week? Well, okay, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Episode number 53, I'm not counting the ones where it's just you and I talking. Episode 53 was Sarah Whiteford.
Again, a person I've known for a long, long time, but just to hear her passion about what medicine should be, one-on-one relationship building with your medical provider, and it's not just next move on to the next number. I thought that was the relationships she's trying to build with her patients were pretty neat to me.
Yeah, the membership medicine model for primary care, to allow your doctor to concentrate on you and not all the other things is the way to go. And a ton of people have told me that, oh, I need her card, or
Yep.
I'm going to call, or I've been meaning to do it. So I'm hoping as the holiday settles down, a lot of times your first step of getting healthy is to go see the doctor.
Right.
Even if you feel like you're healthy, just get checked up.
Yep.
And that is a great way to do it because it's going to be thorough. Your questions will be answered, and you're just going to be able to reach her. She'll answer your
Absolutely.
call,
Yeah.
answer your questions.
Yep. No, totally.
Okay, so now number 54 was
Uh,
Tom Ripley.
are we gonna go all of them? Are we going
No,
everyone?
just
Alright.
to number 30, because
Okay.
we'll get into why just to 30.
Alright. Rip, I mean, again, hard charging and I mean, just a solid American, He just does
Yeah.
it. I mean, I got fired up by his very much.
I would tell every young guy or girl to listen to it. I love the try different things until you find your superpower.
Yep.
The one thing I would love to point out is, he talked about when he left, it was just a high five, like, there was no trust fund, but I would love to point out, this is just where I think a lot of people need to take account of their lives, is that he mentioned his dad was his hero and his mother was a saint. So that's your trust fund.
Yeah.
The
That's
other
worth
thing he
more.
mentioned is his first, or not his first thing, but he had a business failure that basically made him come back stronger, and he left with nothing besides his name. And I would urge everybody to be like, even if the shit hits the fan, do not lose your
Don't give
name
up.
because that's your reputation. Like, don't do anything dishonest,
Yeah.
anything that would ever hurt your reputation.
Yeah. You only get one shot at that. So
Yeah.
absolutely. No, and he did it. Great
All right.
example.
Number 53 was Captain Brett O'Donovan.
An officer and a gentleman. Um, I never knew how many acronyms were in the, military, but,
Uh-huh.
and, quite honestly, when he walks us through where he's lived as not only being single, married with a family, just the bouncing around, I forget about all the relocation and what that does to a family, and how that's part of the job, part of the service, but that's a big commitment. I mean, it sounds silly to say, but just that part of it, the emotional part of that, it's gotta be taxing.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. The one thing I hope some people recognize, not that they have to join the military, but the mission, like you have your mission, you do it, and then you expect promotions, you might have to move, all those kind of things. I think there's a lot of jobs that are like that. I think back to like medical training. You have a mission, you finish your med school, you finish your internship, you finish your second year, and you might have to move around between different med school, residency, fellowship. It's like you're doing the mission. And I think sometimes doctors think they're the only people who had to work like that. And that's not true. And
Right.
doctors, I'm not saying all doctors, but some doctors kind of complain. They're like, "Oh, I worked so hard to get here," and stuff like that. And you're like, "Well, what do you think the people in the military are doing?" Like
Yeah.
there's plenty of people who are working hard, not bashing doctors, but I'm just kind of saying,
I
let's
am.
be humble that
Yeah,
the moving around is just part of a lot of jobs. The
but it's a
moving
big
up in
deal.
rank is a lot of
Absolutely.
jobs.
The moving is a big part. So, no, a lot of respect for everybody that makes a career out of that.
And I also love the fact that he mentioned that he was like 105 pounds going into plebe summer.
Right.
And I love that. And that's something like accomplishing that is something that's incredible. But I think what he showed was that it's possible. So don't be afraid. If you're thinking about it, don't be afraid. Don't let that be the thing. Your fear that can you make it through? Believe in yourself that you can get through. 51 is Mitch Hook.
Mitch Hook, the Mitchmeister. I never really knew what he did for a job. So I enjoyed hearing that and hearing, somebody's on the front lines with teenage sons, internet, and how to make all that work and things of that nature. So, yeah, that was very eye-opening.
I thought he was a really good public speaker. I mean,
Yep.
obviously I've known him my whole life. I didn't realize he was going to be so thorough in his explanations and so
Yep.
good with that. And then I love the idea that like tech is actually problem solving. But I did sit back and be like, well, because I get frustrated with tech, probably more than anything I get ever frustrated with. But I'm like, I think part of it is that it's easy to say problem solving. I'm going to YouTube and things like that. But I'm like, I have patients waiting in the room. Like, I don't want to spend 30 minutes trying to figure out my computer while everybody waits for me.
And I gotta be honest with you, if I'm coming in for a carpal tunnel and you're YouTubing it, how to do a
Yeah.
carpal I'm not feeling very confident in my surgeon.
But I came to work today and they did a reboot. And luckily, our nurse practitioner, Laura O'Donovan, rolled in right after me and was able to fix my computer. But like nothing worked. And I did what Mitch told me. I turned it off and turned it on again. And then it rebooted.
There you go. Thank you, Mitch.
Okay. Okay. Number 50 was a big one. Dr. Gus.
Dr. Gus. Wow. I mean, it's silly. Everything's inspiring, but I just loved his presence, just loved his attitude and loved his take on life work balance and just the way he kind of high level, high pressure, but just kept it real smooth and easy and it just made it for a better working environment for everybody.
I loved how he surrounded himself with the best of the best to make the strongest team possible
Yep.
and not a situation where he had to be only people that he trained or only people that he was better than kind of thing.
Yep.
The thing with Gus was he mentioned that medicine is a service and not a business.
Yep.
I love that concept, but I also think you have to stay in business. And I would love to maybe sometime in the future invite a guest on to discuss the business of medicine and how to make the right decisions so you can spend all your time on service and not on the business.
But that's what Sarah White was trying to do, right?
Yeah.
More
Yeah,
service and a better business. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And then we have number 49, Gay Truscott.
Gay Truscott, real practical, down to earth, good, and I liked that she was kinda using the wisdom that her mother passed on to her, that she's passed on to her
That's what
girls.
I was, yeah, I love that part.
Yeah, I just thought that was really, really cool.
You can save money, you can spend money, and you can give it away.
Yep, those are the 3 things.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to Will. I got Will on the list. All right. Then we got number 48, Peter and Brandon Smith.
Whoa, those 2 foul-mouthed little bastards. I mean, I had to cut so much out of those 2. Um
It was about playing 3 sports versus focusing on 1 sport. I thought they had a lot of valuable insight.
They did, except Brandon took a shot at, cross country and track runners, and, there's a little sister in the house here who took offense to that. We had a lot of, a lot of emails about that, but no, I thought it was great. I really liked the way that you were worried about his daughter, who I think might be a year and a half, and about her getting into sports right away. That was your big concern.
I will say that with that one, Peter behind the scenes said the hardest thing was to let Brandon talk and not, like, cut him off and brag about his son and, like, try to sell his business because he's an entrepreneur, and he was like, "That was really hard to do."
Yeah. No, it's all hard.
Number 46 is Chuck Baldecki,
Chuck Charles Baldacci,
head of school,
head
Charlotte
of
Latin School.
what a, how cool would it be to be taught by a guy like that, who just sees the big picture, and there's so many pieces to educating a kid. I think Chuck has the compassion to bring it all together and pass that along. So I think I wasn't surprised by that one at all, but it was just great to hear him talk about it.
I knew he'd be great, and I loved how he explained why liberal arts still matters as the
Yep.
world is ever changing, and you need to know how to think, and you need to know how to work, and you need to know how to present yourself. He called it branding yourself.
Yeah.
That was epic. Yeah. All right, now your buddy Will Klepper.
Will the Thrill Klepper, doing it, you know? "Hey, I'm gonna give this a shot. Go West, young man." I mean, I just loved everything about it, it was like, "Hey, I know I gotta grind on this desk for, a bit of time and learn about the next jobs, but this is how I do it," and it's a very competitive. I mean, it's funny, right? You're gonna be treated, not great, it's grunt work, but that's competitive, and people that's a tough job to get, and he did it all on his own, no connections or anything like that, really, and, it was just great to see him take his passions that we've known about forever, go to college, expand on it, and now put it into the real world.
He also mentioned it's hard to get the first job, and then it's a little bit easier to get the second job, and then it's easier to get jobs. And I think in this job market, I think for some people, maybe the job market's not great right now, whereas a few years ago it was great. But the idea is get that first job. And he did
Yep,
stuff that wasn't exactly what he wanted to do. And the reason you need to be doing something rather than nothing, just waiting, is that you need to have something to talk about in the interview. So nobody wants to be like, "What have you done the last 6 months?" "Oh, I've just interviewed." No, they would rather you say, I've been doing this while
right.
I've been interviewing. So
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be what you're trained for, but make sure it's something. Make
yeah,
sure you're doing something. So when you get into that interview with the job you really want, or even the starter job you really want, you have a story to tell.
absolutely, yeah, you just wanna get some reps in there and, keep practicing.
So we already discussed the Little Sisters, the podcast. The one comment was from Mary Kate's older brother, Ryan, who was shocked at how well she presented herself and how mature she was. Just like he was very proud of his little sister. It was cute.
That is cute.
Yeah.
That is amazing, but again, I was blown away by both of them.
Yeah.
You know?
They were
But,
amazing.
same thing, like, it's just funny seeing them in this world.
All right. Number 43, Maya Dancy.
Maya, awesome. Just, again, like, on the surface, he and I probably don't have a lot in common on the surface, but then you start talking to him, and it's like, oh, he's not calling me to go, sailing across the Atlantic, and which is
Okay.
fine. But it's great to be friends with a guy like that who's, or opposites attract, and
Yeah.
like. I'm civilized. I've got manners. He's like raised by wolves, but it's great to see him get humanized.
And
It was really nice.
he's up for anything. Like,
Yeah,
he's ready to
always,
go.
always
Okay.
ready.
All right. The next one is the winner of our reading challenge, which is Lisa Lyman.
I
So
mean,
I just read a quote about reading, and it said that you need to read the best that has been thought or said to understand the human spirit.
who said that? Did Lisa say that?
Yeah, maybe. Let's say Lisa said it.
Lisa said that.
I have
Wow.
it in quotes, and I don't
No,
have the author.
no,
But
no, no. I think
so,
Lisa said that when she was playing all 4 sports at Brown University,
yes,
and it was amazing. How cool was that? I mean, 10,000 kids' books,
it was
10,000,
awesome. What
and
is your favorite children's book? Oh, you said the Shel Silverstein
yeah,
books.
yeah, I
Okay.
love those. Love
Okay.
those.
So my top books of the year, which I put on Instagram, are Wisdom of the Bullfrog, which
Mhm.
I literally just read when Tom Ripley said to read it.
I did too.
Epic book. Siddhartha, which I read by Herman Hesse, that I read in the beginning of the year. Love that book. And then this year I got the Action Bible, which is basically the Bible as a graphic novel, not a cartoon, not a comic book, a graphic novel, because it just seems like at some point you should read the whole thing. Like it's been mentioned that many times in the world, whether you're religious or not religious, maybe read it. Like there might be something in there that you think is
Okay.
interesting,
Alright.
but it can kind of bogs down after Moses sometimes. So this was a great way to read all those Old Testament stories, and then now I can go back and maybe read them in a regular version, and at least I know what's going on because I read the Action Bible.
So you can kind of picture it in your head like the Last Supper, you know what it looks like?
Yes.
Alright, I got it.
Yeah.
But, hey, whatever gets you reading,
It's
that's
crazy
great.
how good looking everybody was back then.
Hey, really, and nobody was bald. How is nobody was bald back
Yeah.
then?
So number 41 was Brian Martin.
Brian Martin, uh, that might have been our most embarrassing. That maybe my most embarrassing. For those who don't know, we did a whole, hour talk with Brian and forgot
We
to
did a
hit
2-hour
record.
talk with Brian.
Well, yeah, we did a whole hour first, and then we forgot to hit record, and we're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
shit," and we had to go back and hit record and talked again for another hour. So, but, he was so great and so, generous with his time, but just a good dude, and you see an opportunity, make it happen, go
And
after.
and his superpower is, I think, his curiosity.
Yeah,
Like, that's
absolutely.
his superpower. He's curious about everything. And, we'll talk about this, but I have nominated him to be on the House Calls the Podcast board of directors. He's willing to work for cheap.
Alright, well, then, hey, well,
Yeah. All right, we're winding down. Number 39 was Dominique.
Dominique, that one was fun. Again, it's so funny, and I'm no one biased, but are we just surrounded by like really inspiring people? I
Yes,
mean,
and I thought
I'm serious,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I maybe I don't know, maybe everybody's got stories that with their friends they don't really realize, but all of a sudden you start scratching the surface, and you're like, she is smart, confident, beautiful, nice, and then has got this great high pressure job, has a high pressure life at home with Kevin. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And she just makes it look very easy, but at the same time, she is a worker and a studier and very smart and just makes it look very easy.
And she was also she kind of implied that she was just built that way, like, she
Yeah.
loved being busy and energetic, like, all through childhood and high school, so it's not to say that's for everybody,
No.
but for her, that's what works, and it's impressive, and I love the part about, like, just the progress of research to treatment and basically
Yeah.
the hope that is involved in researching and treating different diseases.
I liked that she thought her path was this way and it zigged, to something else, zigged again. I mean, it's all these major turns and she just keeps on rolling and killing it.
37, Kyle Ritchie, A Life in Sports Entertainment, and when you listen to the one with Delmar, you'll realize, that the apple did not fall far from the tree.
Not at all. And I mean, talk about, the same thing, growing up around sports and just part of your family's DNA and making that your lifelong your career. That was pretty cool.
And, uh, it just how it is a part of their life. Like he's on vacation from his job, which very much is around sports and entertainment, and they're watching Auburn basketball. We interview Dell. We come back and he's gearing up for the Panthers
Panthers
football
game.
game.
Yeah.
Just
Man,
he loves it, and I think that's cool. So we've talked plenty about Kevin, but
Kevin Hill.
number 36 was Kevin, and uh, I did think it was interesting about how because he's in a life of tech, everything else he does in his life is non-tech, like his building his
Analog.
truck, his
Yeah.
knives, it's all analog stuff, which I guess I never really heard of the term analog, but when he said it in context, I knew what he meant, so I didn't
Okay.
have to use my thesaurus.
I was really hoping you were going to butcher that. I was really
Yes.
hoping you were going to butcher that. And I'm so glad you got your lisp
Yeah.
cured. Yeah. No,
So
very cool.
number 33 was Claire Cecil.
Didn't really know her, I mean, knew her a little bit, but
Mhm.
wow, how she can, talk about urban development and food and this, how it all connects. I thought about that one for a while. Very, very poised and put together young lady.
Yeah, and present herself really well, and I think it's cool that she's doing all these things young and traveling and
Yeah.
basically
Writing.
is
Yeah.
putting herself out there, which comes down to Heron Dixon, who is number 32, and when we had him on for the second time, it was really about somebody who is building a yoga community, a meditation community. He's doing the social media thing to put himself out there. He's leading trips, and he is the ultimate putting himself out there when trying new things when some people are retiring.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's not slowing down. He's trying new things, trying new technology, new wellness things. And he's another guy that's just like inspiring.
And it's interesting is that and this is going to be a shout out to you, but sometimes we talk to people who are doing like Ironman triathlons or playing, professional lacrosse or walking around with 50-pound weighted vests so that they can go elk hunting. And sometimes we mock the heated yoga, but heated yoga is really hard. You show up virtually every day to do it, and then we mock you for it and you humbly accept it. You need to start being like, hey, buddy, I'm going to drag you to heated yoga and see if you can make it.
You know what? Maybe I will, or maybe I just like to be away from you for a couple minutes. I need my.
Not even me, I know the other people. I've tried heated
I know.
yoga,
I know. You have.
and I enjoyed it, but I wasn't great at
I,
it, so I do my stretching.
I know.
All right,
Thank
number 31 was Margaret Turner, the pediatrician, caring for
pediatrician.
kids.
Great
Mhm.
message. Worried about all the right stuff. Worried about social media. Not as worried as the Little Sister podcast, but had a healthy take on it. I just like she had real life experiences as a mom and as a doctor, and I thought she gave a great perspective on everything.
And then that leaves episode 30 for 30, which covers the rest of the year and then a little bit of the early podcast. I think in 2024, I did like 7 before you came on. And so if you listen to the 30 for 30, that was a great episode. So listen to that if you want to hear about some of our early episodes, including episode 1, where Matt showed up unedited to talk about a life of sobriety, but he showed up with no shirt on.
I got my times mixed up. I thought
And I think you were number 1 in viewership until you got maybe passed recently by
I
one of our
did.
most recent
I
episodes.
did. So,
So
but
what are
that's
your
okay.
goals? What are your podcast goals for 2026?
Podcast goals for 2026 is to actually talk more,
Uh-huh.
get cut off less. I'd like us to start landing people that we didn't know,
Yeah.
outside the 21405. That's what I'm looking for.
So I think the way to do that is we're going to start emailing people, but also we're going to ask our guests to introduce us to people
Yeah.
that we don't know.
Yep,
Okay.
that'd be great. And
That's
yeah, I think that's great.
I
How about
I
you? What do you
do
think is going to
wanna
happen? What do you think is going to
uh,
happen next year?
well, I do like, interviewing successful, driven people, but they don't have to be famous. Like,
No.
they don't have to be anything like that. I almost like seeing how normal people
Yes.
are enjoying life, but I also like for our younger listeners, because we have a lot of younger listeners, that these normal people were all who maybe at 55 they look put together, that they were not put together at
Right.
30 or 25, and certainly not at 18.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah,
I
no, I
do
love
like
that.
giving our guests a chance, to promote themselves.
Yeah,
So, to be like, "Hey, this is what I'm putting out there. I'm putting something out there," and so that they can get a little bit bigger community, and as our community grows, we help our guests' community grows.
that's right. That's right. No,
Okay?
I think that's a win-win for everybody.
You already said it's fun getting to know people in a different way.
Yep,
So, as we're doing people that we know, we're finding out new things about them. But as we maybe interview people we've just heard of, it's going to be completely different. And I do like the idea of putting a positive spin on the world.
yes, yep. No, I think that's
Um,
hopefully that's what we try to do.
Things are always getting better, and you can look at it as the glass is empty, or the glass is half empty, or half full, or just the glass is refillable.
There you go. I like that.
I just read that quote yesterday. On a
You
cocktail napkin at Mary Kate's house after her 25th birthday party, just lying on the counter. I was like, "That is epic."
do you just, like, go to the mall and, like, sit there at the they sell that kiosk where they have, like, hang in there, like, the guy hanging off the cliff, and you just read those, like, little quotes all the time? Is that what you do?
So, I have not been to the mall in years, but when we used to go to the mall, I stopped one time to talk to a kiosk person, and my daughters were mortified. So they were like, "You have to look ahead. You don't look
Head
to the
down.
side." So from that moment on, they would, like, give me a pep talk, and they're like, "Keep walking. Eyes straight. Don't stop." So, well, uh, I always thought you were gonna be like Jamie on Joe Rogan, and then all of a sudden you became a full co-host, and then slowly as you gain confidence, I'm gonna be Jamie. I'm just gonna be sitting there.
No, we know the technology is never gonna be so
Because there
clearly
are a lot of people talking, just yapping, 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 and, a lot of podcasts, a lot of people out there on social media, and I just don't want to be another voice yapping and complaining, so I want to keep a positive spin on it,
Yeah,
and
man.
if we're trying to get people out of the doldrums who are too lost inside their head, instead of sometimes directly confronting them and being like, "Why are you worried about this thing on you saw on the news?" I'm gonna do a sports parable or a music parable
Rocky,
or a Lego
Rocky,
parable now.
or Rocky. All right. Yeah, I think that's great, and that'll give people and everyone understands it except for Kevin Collinson.
Okay.
I think
So
that's
we're
great.
lining up our guests.
Yep.
If you know people who would like the podcast, please share it with them, even if it's just an individual podcast where you're like,
An
"Hey, my
episode, yeah.
crazy uncle could benefit from this one, or my next door neighbor could benefit from this one." Please send it to them. And if you have anybody in your mind that you think that we should interview, please introduce them to us.
As you know, we'll talk to anybody. So,
Yep.
thanks for listening, and, look forward to season 2.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay. Good night.